Hey everybody, I just had this Osmo Mobile 3 combo pack delivered. I picked it up in the recent DJI sale. Got it from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. I thought I'd unbox it, show you what's inside, and then I'll spend a little bit of time kind of checking out the features and then share those with you in this video as well. So stay tuned, we'll roll the intro. Okay, so this is it. It's the DJI Osmo Mobile 3 combo. I've got another kind of 3-axis gimbal that's just for a GoPro, but I tend to hardly use it because normally I'm using my SLR for the videos, and if I do any kind of close-ups, I just tend to use my iPhone. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to get some more stabilised pictures, and because of the sale by DJI, I thought I'd pick this up. So we'll have a look inside. So this, the combo pack includes a little mini tripod and a case, I think, and to keep it in is about an extra £30 over the top. The rest of the price. So I'm sat at my desk, so apologies that I'm kind of holding this up as opposed to having it on a table, which should give you the general idea. So just pop this over here. So in here we have the case. So it's a nice kind of fabric-y type case. I think you can see on there it's got the Osmo logo on it. In the back is a kind of pouch area, a little wrist strap, and I think when we open this up inside we'll have the Osmo itself. Let's just see what else is in the box. So a little bit of polystyrene kind of padding down the bottom, and this kind of strange looking case. So we will see how best to open this. Looks like it opens up in the middle maybe. Oh no, from the end, okay. So in here we have one tripod. It's a bit like the Manfrotto tripods I've seen. I don't have one of those, but so you can obviously position this. I think this would be good for the time-lapse type features that this is supposed to have. Something else, we've got some anti-slip pads to secure the mobile phone to the phone holder. So you can see those. And there's something else at the bottom of there, but I'm struggling to come out in a minute. Yeah, this is one of these awkward cases where it's difficult to get stuff out of. We also have something that is definitely stuck in there, okay. And a wrist strap, I guess, which is for the Osmo itself, with a little lanyardy bit that you stick through. Put that to one side as well. And then there's still a cable. Okay, and then we have a USB-A to USB-C charging lead, or power lead for the gimbal. And then one other little thing in here, which is I think it's a soft bag to keep the Osmo in. So again, I'm assuming you'd get this as standard if you hadn't paid for the combo pack with the harder case. So that's that. Let's pop those just over here, and then let's have a look inside this box. Okay, so it's a singular zip around the outside, and then let's pop it open. So there it is. My instant thought actually is, so you pay the extra for this case, which obviously does fit the Osmo, which is great, but how about the tripod that comes with it? I guess you can try and ram that in the back, I don't know, but it's a shame that that doesn't fit in here, seeing as it's part of the combo pack. Must be an afterthought, I guess. It's actually bigger and chunkier than I thought it would be. We'll come back to that just in a second to see what else is in here. Bit of just kind of some foam padding that sits kind of in on top to help give it a little bit of extra protection, I guess. Some silica gel in case you get hungry later. Obviously, don't eat that. I said later, I said later. But this is it. So let's just see There's another bit of foam kind of trapped in here to stop things snagging on each other. So I'm not quite sure how it all comes. Okay, so it comes up like this, kind of clicks into place, and then I guess we adjust the size to different phones. So you can't put an iPad in there, it's just for phones. So activate the Osmo 3 when using it for the first time by following the steps in the DJI Mimo app. So I need to set that up, and then press and hold the record button, trigger, M button for simultaneously for 1 second to forget the Bluetooth device. So I guess that's if you're selling it. So have a little quick look around the device. So a little rubberized grip with the DJI wording on the end there. We have a zoom toggle switch here on the side for zooming in and out. Then we've got a USB-C connector there, I assume it's for charging. And a little bit up from that we have a USB-A port that's got a rubber cover on it. I don't know if that's going to be used for plugging into the PC to firmware updates and stuff, maybe. The trigger on the front, and then no buttons or anything on the side here, so just like that. And then on the main control unit, it looks like there's 4 LEDs that go across the top here. I'm assuming that's only power indicators. A record button just there, and an M and power button. Oh, there is some power in it. Okay. And then a little kind of joypad, joysticky thing to be able to do things. So I'm going to install the app and then try it out a little bit, and then we'll come back with a bit more kind of detailed overview. That's just the unboxing portion. Okay, so I'm back. I've spent a few hours messing around with the gimbal to try and get an idea of kind of how I think it's going to work and whether I like it or not. The short version is I do like it. I think it's worth the money. And again, my real comparison to this is a gimbal I have for my GoPro, but I'm impressed with kind of the size of this, how kind of lightweight it is when you're using it, also how compact it is when it folds away. And I think I'm going to be using this a lot more in kind of some of the videos I shoot and kind of using my iPhone as for some kind of B-roll and close-in shots. It's going to be real nice and smooth. So we'll see kind of how things go in future kind of videos and how I feel with it. But right now, definitely happy kind of with the size and everything. This kind of extra USB port that I thought was maybe for firmware updates or something, that's actually for charging or providing power and charge to your phone whilst it's in the gimbal. So in case you're running low, you can obviously use some of the power from the gimbal itself. Now the gimbal, without providing power to your phone, it's got a pretty decent battery in there. It's got about 15 hours battery life, takes 2.5 to 3 hours to charge. So obviously it will be degraded a bit if you are powering your phone from the gimbal as well, but it has that ability too, which is really good. Another thing I quite like about it is where the phone mounts, obviously being on the side like that, leaves both ends open. So if you have got an external mic or something that you want to be plugging in and run from it, you have that option as well. The only thing that I found so far, it's not that I didn't like it, just a minute gripe, and I've noticed sometimes on other electrical products, is when it is charging, there is a very small electrical whine that comes from the device. But again, not the end of the world, it's just one of those things. So I've installed the, what's it called now? The DJI Mimo app. Pretty straightforward. You do need to have a DJI account, obviously, or register one once that's kind of set up and it associates your phone and a device together, and it's registered, and then it's just all paired over Bluetooth, and obviously you have to give it access to microphone and photos, so you can control everything from the gimbal all over Bluetooth. But works pretty well. When you come to actually putting your phone in there, there is a bit of information on the gimbal itself. You can see here, hopefully in the picture, this red arrow, it's pointing to kind of where the camera should be. So it's kind of basically telling you that you want to have the camera on this end, not on this end, because that will cause some obstruction on and in with the gimbal. I find even I'm using this quad lock case, which enables me to have my phone on my motorbike. And even though that's a bit kind of bulbous at the back, it still does grip in there. Obviously not as good as it would be if I had a slimmer line case, but we'll show you now how that kind of just connects in. It's obviously spring loaded, so you just gotta manhandle it in a little bit. So the problem I have is I have to kind of slightly grip it at its extremities, which is what's causing me the problem here. But with other cases that you don't have that bulbous back, it shouldn't be as much of an issue. Now the other thing that you've got to do is you've got to make sure that the gimbal and the phone is balanced when you kind of put things in here. So if you haven't done it right, it will tell you in the app that it's not quite balanced and ask you to move the phone around a little bit to do it. So I'm just trying to do it a bit kind of by eye, so it's a little bit heavy to the left. Let's just move that there. So that looks like it's a bit better balanced. I guess that's the only other criticism. There's no kind of marking or indication, so I would assume most people are going to be using the same phone in the gimbal all the time, so it will be kind of advantageous to be able to kind of have some way of kind of be able to set things up easier. But 10 seconds and you're done. Apologies for dog snoring noises. So what I'm going to do is I'll power up the software and put the screen recording on so you can see a copy of what I'm seeing on the screen at the same time. So we'll do that now. Okay, so you should be seeing what I'm seeing now. So we've got the DJI Osmo app open, just the top left hand side there. Press device connection and it will start searching. I'm now going to power this on by double tapping the M, which is also the on button, just like with your drones. So press and hold, green light comes on. I've got full battery power in here, which is why all of the LEDs are lit up white. And now I have the working gimbal, so you're seeing obviously a little bit around the cave here at the same time. So I'll take you through kind of some of the settings that we have. So we're currently in Pano. Let me just change that over to video. So obviously in terms of controls, we'll go through the trigger in a moment, because that kind of controls most of the things, but you can do everything just one-handed. So you can see how easy I'm just kind of moving this around, and you can see from the other picture image things are staying kind of nice and smooth and flat, so it's pretty damn good. So obviously we've got digital zoom controls here on the left, so that enables us to zoom in and out, so we can get kind of some funky effects when we're doing videos with that. This kind of big, I don't know what you want to call it, kind of toggly type button, it's got a slight indent, so it's slightly concave, which makes it kind of nicer for you to have to control. And if you move it kind of slowly, the panning is slower, but if you're just a bit more rough with it, you can get kind of faster control. But it feels very tactile and it's very quiet, not very obtrusive or anything. Obviously the red button is what basically starts or stops the recordings or taking a picture, so obviously that's pretty obvious and straightforward. The mode button does a couple of things. So if we double tap the mode button, we can move from this portrait view to landscape. So if I just double tap that, again, very fluid, very effortless. So that kind of all works really well. Then the main kind of rest of the controls all happen around the trigger, because I guess that's more natural in your hand. So we've got a couple of options. So I just kind of purposely move this off to the side. If I double click the trigger, it will center the gimbal. So I just do that now. So a very easy way to recenter the gimbal back into a position that you want. If we triple tap it, it will change from the forward facing cameras to the front facing, so the selfie camera, so we just do that now. 1, 2, 3, and it flicks through, hello, to the selfie camera. The only thing to note with that I don't think is really an issue, but you can't do that whilst recording. So if you switch to kind of selfie mode and then start to record, and then you kind of see something somewhere else you want to triple tap, it will basically say that it can't complete that mode, that operation until you finish recording. So I don't think that's a big deal, but something to be aware of. The other thing that we can do with the trigger, so you see when we're moving this round, you can see in this picture there is a bit of movement of the phone itself. So the picture is stabilized, but there is some motion of the phone. If I hold the trigger whilst doing that, the phone does not move around. So it's just literally the gimbal is rotating around. If I let go, then we've obviously got more kind of whoa motion going on with the camera. So as soon as you want to lock that in to place, you press and keep the trigger held, and then it takes care of stuff. So it's pretty straightforward. So that works pretty well. The other thing that we can do with the trigger as well is sport mode. So panning is already relatively quick. We can change some of those things in the settings if we want to, but if we've got, you know, kids or a dog or some other animal that we're trying to kind of film quickly, we can go to sports mode. So we double click and hold the trigger to do that. So click, click and hold, then we're into sports mode, and the gimbal will pan a lot faster, as if you're trying to follow a faster moving object. And when you let go of the trigger, it will disable from sports mode and kind of go back into that normal mode. So that's kind of the predominant amount of things that we can do with the trigger, and enables us, you know, to kind of catch those faster moving things. So you can see on the screen now where it's popped up to say the phone is a bit unbalanced. And again, I think it's just I've been moving it around a little bit, but shouldn't be the end of the world. If you look very quickly at the different settings, there's information at the top of this screen here. It's very difficult for me to show, but you can see a picture of the house. If you click that, it goes back to the app home screen. To the right of that is the battery level indicator of the gimbal. Next to that is a battery level indication of the phone. Then we have the icon to enable, you know, the flash feature to turn on and off. And then at the very top of that, again, some more information about the gimbal orientation and whatever. To the far right, we have that S, that's for stories, which we'll look at in a moment, and then a manual button to be able to switch the cameras between the two. Then most of the rest of the settings are on the left-hand control, depending on kind of which mode we're in. So right now we're in video mode. So we have auto, ISO and shutter settings. We can change that to manual if we want. Also then information about resolution. So you can see right now we're in 1080 and 24 frames a second. We can mess around with that. This other thing is Glamour Effects. That's, you know, slimming and smoothing and stuff. That's not something I've really looked into that much. It's not something that interests me. If it is something that interests you, you probably already know more than I do about any of these glamour features. So we're just going to ignore those. And we sit on the three little dots at the bottom. It talks us into a few more options. So we can turn flashes on and off, adjust the white balance, put on a grid if we want to help with our framing and positioning as well. More information about some of the gimbal modes. So by default, it's in this FPV mode. If we want to be able to do some of the other features that will help you better for kind of vlogging and stuff, then you'll want to move it into, you know, the follow modes, and for some of the shots put that tilted lock, but I've left it in FPV for most of the times, and we can adjust the zoom speeds and how kind of responsive some of the controls are on here. But I found in general most of the stuff as it is in standard works really well, and if you need to, you can recalibrate the gimbal. But again, for me, everything is just working pretty well out of the box. I haven't had to mess around with it too much. And then finally, we've got this device management stuff. So my battery's running out on the phone. Right, so what I'll quickly show you now before the battery runs out is gesture control. So again, I'm going to going to do a couple of things. Switch the camera back into the selfie mode. So 1, 2, 3. So you can see my beautiful mug a couple of times. Underneath the big red button on the screen, you can see there's a little picture of a hand that currently says off. If I press that to on, what is it doing there? Oh, I need to move it out of the gimbal mode to be able to do that. So I put that into follow mode. That should work. Right, so before we look at the gestures, you can enable the active tracking just from the trigger as well. So when you're in this mode, you can use the trigger and it will kind of hunt for your face and lock in on it, or you can just draw a box around whatever it is that you want to be focused on. And as you can see, that's doing that now, and the tracking actually works really well. It actually works pretty quickly, so when kids are running around and dogs are running around, it does a pretty good job of tracking it, just like it does on my DJI Mavic Pro. Then again, so we're going to turn on the gesture features now. So the gesture features start a record or take a picture, but they can't stop it. So we've got two options. One is we can hold our hand up, and the recording will start to happen. We have to stop it manually or on the screen or with the red button on the gimbal itself, or we can use the victory sign and that will also start the recording process or taking a picture as well. So we've got two options basically that enable us to start to take a picture, which is pretty cool. Again, those things are pretty straightforward. This story mode, now please excuse the music that's going to start, but story mode basically enables you pretty much when you're on a holiday or something, or you want to kind of take some funky shots. It enables you to basically have you know, 4 different frames. It kind of animates into like a little mini movie. So we'll show you how this works now. So I'm just going to take let's just switch the camera around. So we're going to take a couple of images of different stuff. So press the record button. Is that not working now? There we are. That's a picture of one thing. Take a picture of something else. Click next. So you can see it does all this moving of the gimbal with some music backing to do something with it as well. And then next we will do that as well. And finally, a bit of Iron Man action. So just bring some life really to kind of some more dull things, so we can see what this video looks like. So there you go. So that's what the storage mode does. So it's kind of pretty funky, and I think, you know, you could have some interesting B-roll and stuff that you might want to kind of do with some of those things. That's quite interesting. And then let's get back to where we were. So the other thing that I think is pretty cool is the panoramic type pictures. So what in this kind of, we've got two options really. We've got scenic mode, we've got this 3x3 mode, and there's a 180 mode. So basically you kind of point it at what it is that you want to do. You kind of breaks it up into 9 pictures, and it will go and take a picture in each of those positions and then stitch it all together to give you this big you know, panoramic shot. So we'll just see what you can see of my cave there. It's just stitching those all together to give us a nice panoramic view. As you see there, it's pretty nice. And then if we look at the 180, and the other thing that I've noticed, that if you do move the gimbal around a little bit, which I'll try and show you how well that works. If you kind of move the gimbal around a little bit as well, it kind of seems to be able to handle that. You can see that it's no kind of jerkiness. It does a really good job of sticking that all together. So I'm really happy and impressed actually with how this works. I think if you're looking for a gimbal definitely worth checking out the Osmo Mobile 3. I think still go with the combo pack because it is good that you've got that harder case and the tripod, even though the tripod doesn't fit in the case, which I think is stupid. But I think lots of people use their phone a lot to take pictures, and even though lots of the phones, like I'm using a Apple iPhone 8 Plus, which is why it's a bit bigger, but lots of people we use our camera phones majority of the time to take pictures of family and friends and stuff whilst we're out. So adding this to it, even though there's lots of image stabilization software and technology in the phones, this does just add to it and make it better. So it's a thumbs up to me. I think it's worth checking out. Again, let me know in the comments if you've got one, what you think of it. And perhaps you've had some of the other Osmo versions. From what I looked at, the 3 does seem better than the 2, so I think it is a step up. Not perfect compared to, I guess, what some people would like from an idealistic perspective in a gimbal, but I think in terms of money, it's pretty good. But yeah, I like the fact that it all folds away kind of pretty handily. And I'll add a couple of kind of videos at the end showing kind of some slow-mo stuff and some tracking, so you get a rough idea of kind of some of the qualities of this, but I'll do it in the daytime because it's night time now. But yeah, that's it, the DJI Osmo Mobile 3 Combo Edition. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.